The fight against forced child labor isn't being won on factory floors, but in shopping malls. More than ever before, consumers are taking their conscience to the cash register.
Today is an era of transparency, and people are choosing brands who are committed to not having forced labor inside their products.
Case in point, cotton from Uzbekistan. In 2011, rights defenders risked jail to document on video the system of cotton harvesting in place since the Soviet era. They exposed a system that forced students, sometimes as young as 5, into the fields. The students did the work. Human rights campaigners say government officials harvested the profits. Elena Urleva is one of the Uzbek rights defenders in the forefront, seen here last fall protesting near the education ministry. Child labor had been widely used under the Soviet regime, she wrote to CNN. It has been around in the 20 years of independence as well. After all, it's free. Children and their parents have been taught that cotton is the white gold and national pride of the country. Those who disagree have been presented as enemies of the state. Uzbekistan is the world's second-largest cotton exporter. After the expose videos, growing international pressure forced the government to officially ban the use of child labor and coercive tactics. Fast forward to last November's harvest. Human rights activists in Uzbekistan say the worst practices were easing, but local officials were still forcing older students out of their classrooms and into the fields. I spent exactly 2 weeks harvesting cotton, this young man says, adding things had not changed. He had to walk more than a dozen kilometers some days, even to reach the fields. The mother of another student says it was either send her child to harvest cotton or pay local politicians a $150 fine, which is more than 2 weeks' pay for most Uzbeks. Uzbek rights defender Elena Urleva says the situation may have improved for the youngest students, but forced labor continues, hidden by heavy security. Last harvest, her rights team documented 11 to 18-year-old students picking cotton. But in order to get that evidence, she says she had to engage in car chases with police worthy of an action movie. Uzbekistan's embassy in Washington responded to CNN in writing. The statements about arrests, beatings, and detentions of those who were involved in the cotton harvest do not correspond to the reality. Uzbek cotton has a superior quality, and these statements may be the result of the efforts of our competitors to create unhealthy environment and dishonor Uzbek producers. The embassy added, today, 100% of the cotton is produced by private farmers. Trying to verify the facts isn't easy. Uzbek authorities forced Human Rights Watch to close its Tashkent office in 2011.
Without an open civil society, without international organizations able to get in, and without reporters able to get in, it's going to be extremely difficult to verify what the government is doing, as it says, to combat the problem of forced child labor and forced labor of adults.
Despite the hurdles, activists are encouraged. The number of global brands which have pledged not to knowingly use Uzbek cotton doubled from 60 a year ago to more than 120 today. Activists concede the fight against forced labor is far from over. Companies signing the pledge have to audit their supply chains. Activists have to keep up the pressure on countries and companies alike, and informed consumers must sustain their point by not buying clothes sourced with slave labor, no matter the cost. Jim Clancy, CNN, Atlanta.